Welcome to another Prevent Connect podcast. My name is Tori Vandelin. I am here on behalf of Prevent Connect, and I am so excited. I have two amazing leaders in preventing domestic violence here with me today to talk about all things. So before we dive into some of the content, I want to give my guests an opportunity to introduce themselves. So Angela, Arlene, welcome. Can you introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about your roles within each of your organizations?
Sure. I'll go first. My name is Angela Lee. I'm really happy to be here. I am the Love is Respect Director. I've been with the National Domestic Violence Hotline for 10 years. And basically what we're trying to do is move forward and make sure we're youth engaged, make sure that we're inclusive, diverse, and having the tough conversations that a lot of people, especially our young people, want to have, and to help assist with any influencers on how to support young people with domestic violence and dating abuse.
All right. And I'm Arlene, and I'm with the National Resource Center on Domestic Violence. But I also want to acknowledge the fact that I'm a mother, I'm an auntie, I'm a mentor, I'm an advocate, I'm an activist for young people. And I come into this space today with that lens, right? With that experience. So therefore, I want to, honor, lift up, express gratitude to the hundreds of young people that I've worked with over the last 25 years, to the Black and Brown young people in my family, in my circle that keeps me grounded. And then most importantly, to the two young people that call me mom and unapologetically check me and let me know when I'm an adult and I'm out of my lane. So I'll have to give much gratitude to them as well. As far as a professional role, I'm at NRCDV. I am the Vice President of Programs, Prevention, and Social Change. So that includes overseeing our Domestic Violence Awareness Project and our Prevention Project. Those projects sits on our program and prevention team, and I also oversee our communications team. So yeah, that's me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for introducing yourselves and letting us get to know a little bit more about you today. As I said earlier, we are here to talk about Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And Arlene, you mentioned, the amazing youth in your life. I feel like that's such a great grounding going into this conversation and thinking about the impact that youth have had on us and the leadership that we've learned from the incredible, intelligent, passionate youth that we get to interact with. So this isn't the first Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. Can you tell me a little bit more about what is the history of Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month?
Yeah, so this is Angela. Congress declared the month of February to be National Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month in 2010. So it's so exciting that every February, right, young people and their loved ones, we all join together across the country for, like a national effort to raise awareness about the issue of teen dating violence through the Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And we're proud to be, a part of the annual push to educate, advocate, just like Arlene said, for our young people, and to just really stop dating abuse before it starts. Is there anything else you want to add, Arlene?
I think the only thing that I would add to that is just the history that you just mentioned and the fact that professionalism oftentimes take us away from the real story, right? So when we talk about the history, Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month was initially, right, created by young people for young people. So I think it happens quite frequently in our movement where we get so professionalized that we move away from the roots of why we started a thing. So just wanted to add that as well. But that's it.
That's a good point.
Yes, this is so important to, to know what the true history of movement, of moment is, especially, talking more about sexual and intimate partner violence prevention. I feel like there's so much I've learned coming out of school and learning about it, like in textbooks or in documents, versus getting to know folks in the field and what their history and their experience has been. So
history is important.
Yeah. So Angela and Arlene, you both, when you introduced yourself, said that you're from two different organizations, but it's my understanding that Love is Respect and the National Resource Center Against Domestic Violence have, complementary approaches to teen dating violence prevention and awareness month. And, both of your organizations really lift up youth to lead the charge of what every February means as far as preventing teen dating violence before it occurs. Can you tell me a little bit more about, for each of your organizations, what theme you're highlighting for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month 2021?
Yeah, so Love is Respect's theme this year is, and I'm so excited, know your worth, right? And know your worth is all about learning about healthy relationships, self-empowerment, and it was chosen by college students from across the country, which is very important. I think in order to really get young people involved, we definitely need to get their input. And our idea around this theme is just to empower our audience, right? And to learn more about healthy relationships and to know that what they're worth and what they deserve. And it's a powerful, confirming, personal statement. Young people like that guides actions, not just actions, behaviors, communication in relationships to be healthy and free from violence, right? Because everyone is deserving of a healthy relationship. So hopefully this theme will really bring awareness, even more awareness, not just in February, but throughout the years ahead about this serious issue.
And for us at the National Resource Center on Domestic Violence, we really kind of model what it is that we encourage the field to do, right? So we support organizations that are youth-centered, youth-led. So like Angela said, we're going to follow the lead of Love is Respect, right? And we also have a toolkit that we're releasing, the Runaway and Homeless Youth and Relationship Violence Toolkit. So what we're planning on doing is expand on our One Thing messaging campaign that was developed with leadership from Athena James Brightful, co-organizer of Heal a Woman to Heal a Nation. So she took our organization on a journey to develop a messaging campaign that resonates with a lot of people, right? To expand our reach, a campaign that's easy to say, easy to adapt, and easy to use. So we're going to expand on the One Thing campaign. We are going to lift up and support Love is Respect campaign on our prevention platform. And then as we lift up the toolkit, we're going to focus on the voices, experiences of Black and trans identified youth facing homelessness and housing instability. So the model that we typically use at NRCDV is we talk about awareness, we talk about prevention, right? That can lead to the social transformation that we want. So our approach is to break down the silos between the intervention world and the prevention world. So that's why we're focusing on the launch of our Runaway and Homeless Youth Relationship Violence Toolkit. And that speaks to the experiences, right, of young people. That speaks to the lack of basic needs being met, right? And then it also, and then we're also connecting with Know Your Worth as our prevention part of our approach this year. So again, with the One Thing campaign, we're going to utilize that language, utilize that messaging campaign to again lift up the wisdom and leadership of young people that as they work, because young people lead, right? To promote community care, healing, and resilience. So we're taking that same approach that we use for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, where we're talking about awareness, we're talking about prevention, and it's not an or, we're doing both, right? Because people's lives and communities don't exist in silos. But again, the nugget that I would take away from this, and the practice and approach that we use at NRCDV, is follow the lead of organizations who are centering the young people's voices and leadership. For example, like Angela mentioned, that the campaign, the messaging campaign, came from college students, right? So they are the target audience, and oftentimes organizations really don't know when to follow and when to lead. When it comes to Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, and NRCDV is crystal clear about our role there. So that's the pivot that we make during Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month versus Domestic Violence Awareness Month. During DVAM, we lead. During Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month, we fall back and follow. And I think it's a practice that organizations who want to engage with young people should kind of adapt.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I really appreciate this thread between what both of you had shared about centering youth leadership, taking that step back and uplifting youth. And I think back to, my time as a youth, and how when adults kind of took that step back, or like major organizations took that step back and let youth really shine, that meant so much to me as a youth, as wanting to be engaged in the movement, as feeling empowered and confident that I could keep going with this, or that my voice was heard, my voice was mattered, or that my voice mattered. So I really appreciate that, from two leading organizations on dating and domestic violence, to have that stance, I think, is so powerful for how folks look at Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And you had both mentioned this a little bit when you were talking about your themes of, breaking down the silos between awareness and prevention. How can we prevent something if we're not aware of it? I think that's a really great connection that I see with folks. But I also want to know a little bit more. How do these themes that you both talked about, how do you see them relating and contributing to preventing teen dating violence before it starts?
That's a really good question. Arlene, you want me to go first?
I could go. I could
whatever
go.
You want. It's whatever you want.
Mainly because we're focused on uplifting Love is Respect's campaign. We're focusing on uplifting the new toolkit, right? So I think, as we know, when we're talking about prevention, we're talking about risk and protective factors. And we know that homelessness and housing instability, right, for young people is a risk factor. And we feel like the awareness piece of that is really focusing on promising practices to meet the basic needs of this population that we're talking about. We're talking about Black and trans identified youth facing homelessness and instability. And if we know that's a risk factor, and if we know that we have to address people's basic needs before we can go talk to them about youth violence prevention, right? So, Tori, to answer your question, we're also highlighting and demonstrating strategies and approaches such as, we know our protective factors, and we know they promote healthy and respectful and nonviolent relationships, such as supporting and building youth leadership. So shifting norms related to youth relationship violence, right? Building connectedness, a sense of belonging through meaningful engagement. So we're demonstrating that. Increasing social support, engaging influential adults and peers, coordinating resources and services amongst community agencies. So those are all pieces that are in the toolkit, plus the additional resources that we're sharing throughout the month. And what it'll also do is help community-based organizations acknowledge that they are already doing prevention. Okay, because again, language is a barrier. And when we start talking about the socio-ecological model and the social determinants of health, we're excluding, right? Sometimes language is not inclusive. We're excluding populations of individuals that's already doing this work. When we talk about meeting basic needs, when we talk about engaging influential adults, when we talk about service providers collaborating, when we talk about sense of belonging, people can relate, young people can relate, community leaders can relate, community leaders that may or may not be, have that title of preventionist per se. That's the approach. We're lifting up promising practices that are in the toolkits around providing support for young people who are facing homelessness and instability to increase their safety and lessen harm.
I agree. That's powerful. And I totally agree with everything that Arlene has just said. And, like when we're looking at the theme, every single person, and I can't say this enough, deserves a respectful relationship. Mm-hmm. And we believe that we have to start with these ideas. We have to start with these statements. And it may seem obvious or easy to the general public, but these are fundamental truths. Like Arlene said, the homelessness, we got to really look at the core of what's going on, right? And we want people to shout that they are worthy of respect from the rooftop. Because we believe that everyone is worthy of receiving respectful words, actions, behaviors in their lives. And our young people, that's our future, right? And it's our hope at Love is Respect that without theme, know your worth, that young people will be empowered to have that conversation, whether they're heterosexual, LGBTQ, whatever nationality, culture, because each individual has specific needs, right? And we can't excuse that, but storytelling is powerful, spreading awareness. That's why we're encouraging all that, not just for themselves, they need to internalize it, but also with their friends and their family about the respect that they deserve. So
I agree. And that is exactly why the theme from Love is Respect fits so perfectly with the release of our toolkit and, us being able to connect Know Your Worth to our prevention folk part of our equation that we typically, lift up during Domestic Violence Awareness Month and Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. That awareness plus action, right? That's why we're excited. Yes.
This is such a powerful conversation, and I just cannot be more grateful for what you both are sharing. Arlene, what you said about the importance of meeting basic needs, that really struck a chord with me because, I think about how much our world has changed in the past year, thinking about, how a lot of folks have gone in the span of a year from having their basic needs met to not, or to being in fear that their basic needs will not be met because of the fallout from this pandemic. And it's heartbreaking to think about, but I find so much inspiration in what you both just shared about the purpose of these campaigns and the purpose of this month is to talk about prevention in a way that is relatable and empowering so that folks can see themselves as part of the movement. They see, the work that they're doing to help meet basic needs for people in their community. Someone who's working at a food bank might be like, well, what do I have to do with preventing teen dating violence, preventing domestic violence, preventing sexual violence, preventing any form of violence? But when we talk about prevention, when we talk about awareness in, this plain, accessible language, it kind of brings everyone back in, including our youth too. where, I'm sure there's some youth where as soon as you say, sexual or intimate partner or dating, they're kind of like, I don't need to listen to this right now. Or maybe they're really excited by it. But saying something like you deserve respect universally, like that, Angela, you said it, it's a universal truth. And it has so much power behind that statement of just saying like you, them, everybody deserves respect. So I am really, really excited about this conversation. It's giving me that great like Friday afternoon energy boost.
Me too, and I need it. Me too. Yes, me too, and I need it. I mean, because Tori, basically, what you're even, emphasizing is so true. Where this pandemic and several pandemics that we're experiencing at the same time simultaneously, individuals, like, it's not even, I don't even know the word right now. It wouldn't even be appropriate to implement prevention strategies in particular communities right now when families are facing homelessness, when young people are hungry, when their basic needs are not being met. Preventing youth violence is not their priority right now. So you're not going to build trust that way, right? So you have to meet young people where they are, meet the community that you want to work in, because, okay, you're going into these communities with traditionally marginalized populations, because that's primarily where a lot of our prevention initiatives center or focus, right? But individuals, their basic needs are not being met.
You're so right. You're so right. And just to tap on and to go back to what Tori and you, Arlene, was touching on, like, okay, everything that was normal has been turned upside down. So much has changed since COVID-19, right, came into our lives. And it's been rough for so many people, especially our young people.
Yeah.
Many young people, their norm has changed. They're away from campuses. They're away from the schools and work, and they may be isolated from their support system. There's probably a lot of suicidal ideations going on, or added worry just watching what their parents or whoever's their guardian is going through, or the worry that can kind of like take on an extra level of stress for our young people, right? But we know that COVID-19 is putting people at a higher risk for abuse. We know that, right? Especially digital abuse, because nearly everything we do is online now.
Yep.
Everything we do is online now. And we also know that the public awareness about relationship abuse, like you said, Arlene, and dating abuse increases every year. I hope we know that. It doesn't stop, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But what we as organizations do, or we as people and activists and mentors and moms and aunties, just like she beautifully said earlier, we're hopeful that as long as we lead with empowering, hopeful messaging,
yes,
we can combine, build the awareness until everyone is aware that love is respect, period. I can't say that enough, period.
Yes. Yeah. Tori, you can't capture the snapping, but I'm snapping. I'm snapping in agreement. I'm snapping in agreement, because oftentimes what we do, we give the statistics and we know the prevalence. We talk about, like you said, Angela, the awareness, and then we don't provide the hope. We don't provide the tools, the strategies for the hope. So that's where our prevention initiatives come in. And that's where what you're talking about come in, and Tori, you said it as well, like everybody deserves a violence-free relationship. And love is respect.
Period.
Yeah, like when we talk about plain language, what else can we say, right? What else can we say? So yes, that's why we're so excited to lift up that the campaign with the toolkit and with our awareness plus action equals social change, and then our one thing messaging campaign, because collectively all of our one things can actually lead to the social transformation that we want.
I totally agree.
Thanks for listening. Check out part 2 for more of our conversation with Angela and Arlene. Resources for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month 2021 are linked to this podcast post on our website.